Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Welcome everybody to Rokstad, Norway. An hour and a half southeast of Oslo and an hour north of Sweden. I got chills just thinking about being here this week. And with its rolling wooded hills, Rokstad is known for its hiking trails, its cross-country skiing, and some glorious fishing from the rivers Glomma and Rokstad. But that's not why we've traveled all the way to a virtual Scandinavia this week. Sitting in an ideal spot for road racing, as I guess you can in Norway, Rudskogen Motor Center leans on that beautiful terrain and provides scenic backdrops in almost 140 feet of elevation change. And with Herman Tilke redesigning the circuit 10 years ago, this 2-mile, 14-turn course has played host to both professional and amateur road racing, as well as serving as a host for a training center. And tonight, our GT4 and TCR racers are going to get to experience this circuit for the very first time. Just who will stand atop the podium, who will need more training, and who will bring home that Norwegian wood. Welcome to round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is His Eminence Larry Lefty McLeod, and of course, let's not forget the two Johns, Jonathan Grabowski and John Robertson, who are going to be giving you all the best views of tonight's action. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome to Rudskogen, a very challenging course that should keep our racers on the edge of their skis for 60 minutes tonight.
You are cracking yourself up tonight. I love it. This is we're gonna have a big audience for all this, the good humor you're throwing at us. Wow. So yes, we've got a newer track actually on the platform. Only been out maybe a season or so. I've had a couple of chances to drive this thing. It is a crazy, crazy place. Passings at a premium, but there's all the on-camber / off-camber you could handle, since the whole thing appears to be built into a mountainside. Just an amazing, really cool little track. And yeah, I think throwing some sports cars around here could be a pretty good time tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to be. I haven't raced on it yet, but I've been watching a number of races here. Got to witness one of the last scheduled races with the Volkswagen Jettas from Rudskogen this week here today, since this is going to be the end of season 1 for iRacing, and it was pretty neat to watch those front wheel drive cars try to understeer their way through this course. And let's do this, Larry, as we do each outing on the sports car series. Why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford? I think he's going to be able to explain Rudskogen far better than you or I may. So, Kevin, for about 2 minutes, take it away.
Welcome, everyone, to beautiful Rakkestad, Norway. Great to have you with us as we are located at the Rudskogen Motor Center right here in Norway. 14 turns, 2 miles to get a lap done around this place, and what an incredible course to drive. It is full of beautiful scenery, not that we'll have time to look at it. As we head up the front straightaway here, you notice our pit area to the left as we cross the stripe and head up towards turn 1. Now, very tight coming into turn 1 here. You'll notice that it is very narrow, and certainly narrow at the beginning of races. Coming around turn 2 here, we'll track out just a little bit, come right back to throttle, get a nice run off the exit to head down towards the double right-handers of 3 and 4. Beautiful scenery through the forest here as we head down the hill into turn 3 here. We'll bring that car right to the bottom. We'll swing out here and get a nice rotation into 4. Right back up the hill here into the S's. So bring us into 5. We'll rotate right back into 6, and then back into 7. We've got to stay really tight here as this wraps right back into turn 8, right back to throttle, then back up through the gears again. So bring us through turn 9 to the right, and then down the hill to the hairpin of turn 10. Very tight corner here at the bottom of the hill. Nice wrap, track out off of this one, head up into turn 11 here, and ultimately into turn 12. This is a pretty fast entry, just drops right through the center there, then up off of that into turn 13 to the left, and then we enter the very final corner here, a big wrapping carousel. We'll let that car track out just a little bit, then we'll come right back to the bottom, and right back to throttle. Here we go, out of the final corner. There it is. That's your track guide around this amazing, very tight, twisty, and fast Rudskogen Motor Center. Thank you for being with us.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Rudskogen Motor Center. And Larry, we were just talking as Kevin was running through his lap, how difficult, how even getting it right around this course never really feels right. Mm-hmm. that it's one of those tracks where, you know, you can be a couple, you know, the lap can feel good, but you could still be a couple seconds off of your optimal, and you know, it just kind of means that you're not pushing the car around here.
It's very awkward in that way, and that there's a lot of kind of long connected, as you run down the hill, for example. After the opening sequence, you go down the hill, a long set of sweepers, and at the bottom of that hill, you basically have to find just the right apex point to come back up, and then find just the right late apex through this chicane before you get to the next U-turn down the hill again. And it doesn't feel right. There's a line through there that's your optimal time, but none of it, it's not a very natural feeling line through there. So it takes a lot of discipline to get lap time down. So as we start looking here at this qualifying session out in front of us that's just started, that's what they have to do, is to try and find that optimal line, of course, without getting any course cuts and things that have to go there. But then when you get into the racing, you may not necessarily be in the optimal line for time. You might be in the better position to defend a position, because this place defends pretty easily if you really hold the right lines. And so that'll be the interesting thing, is how far off the pace are you defending versus where the optimum line is for a quickest overall lap.
Yeah, and talking to Eric Violet, driver of one of the D2D eRacing on the Civic Type Rs earlier, and you know, one of the things that he said was that the off-track penalties here at Rudskogen, they just kind of come up and bite you. As I was checking with our race directors where it is possible to easily pick up off-track penalties, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6, turn 7, turn 10. turn 12 both at the apex, the entry, and the exit, turn 13 as well as turn 14. So that pretty much knocks them all down. But I think probably as we get for our TCR cars, as we watch right now Brendan Horn come down the hill into turn number 3, the TCR drivers have said in particular that entrance to turn 3 is incredibly difficult. Whether it be on cold tires or warm tires, their cars want to rotate there, and that would be a great thing if it wasn't for the fact that their cars also want to push there as well. But a lot of them are getting into four-wheel drifts and running wide, and there's a big slowdown penalty in iRacing if you go over the white lines there before you turn in for turn 3. So we'll see how things play out for our drivers right now as we are just getting underway with qualifying, and our drivers are heading out on track. Some of them have just now turned in their first flying laps. And Larry, before we take a look back to 2 weeks ago, let's quickly let our drivers know how to tell the three different classes apart here. We've of course got our TCR cars, as we mentioned. Those are the front wheel drive machines primarily, much like Brandon Whitworth here, the number 42 D2D eRacing Honda Civic Type R, and you can always pick them out. They've got the blue number boards, blue mirrors, blue windshield banners, and blue end plates on their wings. And then we have our GT3 Pro, let's try that again, GT4 Pro and GT4 AM categories. And much like our provisional pole sitter right now, Mike Dam, in his Orion Motorsports BMW M4 GT4, he is in the Pro category, and you can tell the Pro category drivers, they've got the red number boards, red windshield banners and mirrors, and red end plates on their wings, while the GT4 AM category drivers, like Tom Jenkins, who is currently our second fastest driver overall and fastest of the AM category, they've got the green number boards, mirrors, and windshield banners and end plates on their wings. And when you take a look to our timing tower on the left hand side of your screen, you will see the positions borne out by what class they are. The Pro drivers will be in red, the AM drivers will be in green, the TCR drivers, when they show up there, they will be in blue. All right, so Larry, here as we are getting underway, and we're about 5 minutes in, about a third of the way in already into a 15-minute qualifying session where we give our drivers 4 attempts at setting a fast lap on track, and they seem to them, as they're on track, they they feel that they've got the entire track to themselves. They don't have any traffic to deal with. It's what they call lone qualifying, and we'll check back in with those drivers in just a moment. But as I said, let's take a quick look back at 2 weeks ago when our drivers were at Magny Corps for the very first time ever for round number 4 of the championship, and in TCR, where Eric Violette took the win over his D2D eRacing teammate. It was a commanding win, almost 24 seconds separating those two Honda Civic Type R drivers, with Team Collusion's John Sterling finishing a full lap down in 3rd. David Payne for DP Racing finishing in 4th, with Nick Horvath from Lead Paw finishing in 5th. And if we take a look at the championship standings now after 4 rounds, and Larry, after 4 rounds, we do start taking the single drop that these drivers can get over the course of the season into account. But Eric Violette is currently your points leader with 118 points. He's got an 8-point advantage over his teammate Brandon Whitworth. Alex Brown from Team Collusion, you can see they're 3rd in the championship with Nick Horvath and David Payne fairly close behind. Not John Sterling sitting there in 6th position. All right, so let's move over to GT4, and we'll look at the AM category here, where Chuck Labano from Labano Racing took the win, and I believe that was for Chuck, if I remember correctly, 3rd win in a row for him in the series. So he's got a great little streak running in his Labano Racing.
Should be first win for Chuck.
Was it his first?
Yep,
you're absolutely right. I was looking at Brendan Horn, who had 3 wins. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was Chuck with his first win in his Mercedes AMG GT4, with Brad Husty finishing second for Midfield Motorsports, and then Brennan Horn, who's got 3 wins. My apologies, Brennan, for D2D E-Racing finishes on the last step of the podium with Chad Osborne, who I believe we're going to be talking to here in just a few moments. Pre-race from Redline Motorsport finished 4th, and Dale Maxwell from Team 1 finished in 5th. And
is so Brennan Horn still part of D2D?
Oh, well, that is always the question, Larry. and I was racing with him in a non-affiliated, non-Ricmotech series, and he wasn't running the D2D livery, just saying. But it looks like he's got. Yeah, nobody tell Bobby Childs, but he's got the D2D livery on that Mercedes right now. All right, so if we take a look at the point standings now after, again, 4 rounds, Brennan Horn is your championship leader right now with 83 points. Midfield Motorsports, Brad Husty, second in the championship with 76. Then 8 points back from there is Chad Osborne. Russ Ruddick from Flying Tortoise, only a single point back with 67. And then John Casey from 046. Great to see John so far up in the championship right now. John Casey currently running 5th in the championship, and he's got a couple points buffer over Jenkins, Brist, and Maxwell, who are all, as you can see there, very tightly matched. All right, so let's move over to the pro category, as we're now almost 9 minutes into this qualifying session.
Yeah, real quick, worth noting is our ongoing qualifying right now. 2 of the 3 overall fastest cars are from the M category. Chuck Labano currently 2nd, Brad Husty currently 3rd, ahead of Schwenke and Payton and a few other of the names you may recognize from past seasons. So Labano and Husty came ready to play tonight. This will be fun to watch. Still qualifying, still yet open, but thought I'd throw that out there as we were just talking about the M category.
That's right, and Brennan Horn, who's now completed his 4 laps, is sitting 6th currently in the order right now, so that's the 3rd AM category driver. Tom Jenkins sitting 8th in his Aston Martin. That's 4 out of the top 10. Maybe a little surprising to see here tonight, as the majority of our drivers have completed their qualifying, and I think the only driver, as I'm looking up and down the order right now, that has not is Eric Violet, who is currently sitting 3rd fastest in TCR currently. He is working his 3rd of 4 flying laps. So while I run down the order here in GT4 Pro, let's follow Mr. Violet along, because I think he is our only driver left to put in qualifying laps. So in GT4 Pro 2 weeks ago at Magny-Cours, Travis Schwenke, the aforementioned Travis Schwenke, was your winner for Orion Racing in his BMW M4 GT4. His teammate Mike Dam finishing in 2nd, and once again it was a sweep of the podium with Robert Hartley finishing in 3rd. Chris Thorman from D2D E-Racing finished in 4th. Jeff Jacobs finished a very distant 5th, with Steve Daniel from SKKJ Racing finishing 6th, and David Payton finishing in 7th. And so if we take a look at the championship as it stands right now in GT4 Pro, it is Travis Schwenke currently with a 10-point advantage over his teammate Mike Dam. You can see another 5 back to Robert Hartley, the 3rd of that Orion Racing trio. Then Chris Thorman with 93, and another 12 points back to Jeff Jacobs, sitting 5th in the championship. So currently in Pro, pretty big spread once you get past those top 3. But as it stands right now, Travis Schwenke with a pretty good handle on the championship over his 2 teammates as well. So Larry, let's check in on Mr. Violet and see how he is doing. And looks like he just put in his fastest lap of the session, but not enough to get him out of 3rd in the order.
And he's on his last one right now, as he's 3.5 out of his 4 are running through here. But let's go on board for a second. You can see how crazy and twisty this place is, whether you decide to use all of the entry angle or not, whether you cut all that distance or try and use it to a high-speed exit advantage is your choice. You can see how you come around these blind corners, cutting the apexes, and then back down the hill for yet another one of these hairpins. There's got to be about 3 or 4 of them on this track. Braking tough, nice 180, nice late apex here for Eric. But again, another blind corner, and that between, do I go all the way out? Yes, he does. To set up here, I believe for turn 12, and then try and set up again. cut the curb to set up for another right. So it's just this constant twisting. The only thing on this track that resembles a straightaway is what comes after this big 180.
After this big giant 180.
We'll see if Eric can crack a 29 here. He needs to get all the way to a 29.0 if he wants the pole in TCR.
All right, and as he crosses the stripe, he puts in, you said it, Larry, a 28.89 on his very last lap. That is enough to move him up to the TCR pole, and almost exactly 0.2 of a second up from his teammate Brandon Whitworth.
Is that our pre-race interview waiting?
I believe it is. So Larry, let's do this. Let's bring in Chad Osborne, driver of the number 24 GT4 AM Redline Motorsports BMW M4 GT4.
All right, Chad, is that you with us here tonight? Chad Osborne.
I hope that's Chad.
Sometimes microphones don't work.
Name's a little different in here. It's Chad Osborne.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, how you doing? So,
I'm doing
good. So another new track, that first time in the series to come to this track, a lot like Magny-Cours a couple weeks back. The advantage seems to go to those who get a lot of practice. So I got to ask, how much you've been putting in for practice at this new place?
You got me on that one. I've only practiced probably one night this week, and I've never been to this track before. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm definitely interested. It's a fun little track to get around. It's going to be tight, so it'll be a little give and take here, but I'm not expecting to do anything but survive. That's my game plan tonight. Just survive.
Well, you had the podium finish at Bathurst a couple weeks back. You had a couple of top fours thrown in there. So you've kind of been in this mix. Are you sensing who the rival is, who that person is, that if you could beat them, you'll feel confident that you had a good night, good race?
There's no one in particular that's on my mind. Everyone's so fast. It's just I'm really trying to just race myself this season and take on the tracks and just see if I can keep composed and just finish and let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah, I mean, so far you've done a decent job at that, having been, like I said, consistent. Lots of fourth places, a couple of seconds in there always helps a lot. Sitting in that third spot, it sounds like, though, without the comfort of a lot of practice, I'm not sensing a lot of comfort in your ability to stay in that season podium position, or are you just kind of playing it low?
Well, the next few tracks that we go to, I'm pretty comfortable at, so we'll have to see if I can pick up the pace. Tonight, I'm not expecting much other than just a survival race, but the next couple of races, I should have a chance.
All right, well, let's see. You're about to grid up, so survival might be the key tonight. And good luck tonight. With any luck, in about an hour or so, we'll have you back in here to talk to you about having a podium finish. Good luck.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it.
All right, there you go. That was Chad Osborne, driver of the number 24 Redline Motorsports BMW, currently sitting third in the GT4 AM Championship and qualified tonight in fifth in GT4 AM, 11th overall. So, Larry, we've got our drivers gridding up. Let's run down the starting order.
All righty. So tonight on pole, talk about a mixed up grid. A lot of times we see the pros kind of out qualifying the AMs. That is not the case tonight, except on the pole, the Canadian from Orion. Has to be an Orion up there somewhere. Tonight it's Mike Dam on that pole position. But we've got an AM driver on the outside of front row, Chuck Labano, yet another Canadian. I'm seeing a trend here. Canadians are liking the Norwegian track. From Labano Racing, Chuck Labano on the outside of front row. Row 2 on the inside, Brad Hosty has got himself up into a top 3 start. He's from Midfield Motorsports. He'll be lined up alongside Travis Schwenke, I believe our championship leader coming in from Orion Racing. He's in the pro category. On row 3 on the inside, David Payton. We got a Canadian now again here on row 3. He's from D2DE Racing. He'll be lined up alongside our AM category championship leader, Brennan Horner from D2DE Racing, his teammate. On row 4 on the insides, Jeff Jacobs from StreetSurvival.org, lined up with Tom Jenkins from Midfield Motorsports. On row 5, it's going to be Robert Hartley. Look to see if he can make some move to the field tonight. He's from Orion Racing. He has finished on the podium in every round so far this season. On the outside of row 5, it's Steve Daniel from SKKJ Racing. On row 6, on the inside, we just talked to him from Redline Motorsports, Chad Osborne. He's in the AM category. He's got a couple of cars between he and his nearest rival going up. But nearest rival, is right next to him. Russ Ruddock, Flying Tortoise Motorsports, there on the outside of row 5, row 6. On row 7, it's Stephen May on the inside from May Force Racing. He'll be lined up alongside John Casey from Frito Sport Racing.
All right, and as we take a look at the TCR entries tonight, Larry, as we saw in his very last flying lap, Eric Violet from D2D eRacing is your pole sitter with his teammate Brandon Whitworth starting right next to him on the outside of row number 1. Then we've got Nick Horvath from Lead Paw Racing and Scott Brooks making up row number 2. Then we've got Marlon Jones and John Sterling rounding out the 6-car field. And Larry, so many Canadians in the field tonight. I mean, I know that obviously we're in cross-country skiing country. Maybe there's like a curling rink nearby.
I guarantee there is.
So we'll see here as we've got the field making their way around on the pace lap here behind that beautiful Porsche, and we'll be getting underway for a 60-minute battle. And you know, as we were listening to Chad, he said he probably feels a little more comfortable at some of the venues coming up. We'll talk about that a little bit, maybe a little bit more as the night goes on. But we will in 2 weeks be at Road America, and then we've got Brands Hatch and Sebring International to round out this eight-round season. So a lot of good racing to come here in the sports car series, and of course we'll be talking at the end of the broadcast about some of our other Ricmotech series, as well as the pace car now is bringing the field up the hill. And just a few more corners here before they will come onto the front straight. We've got that big sweeping right-hander, and this pace lap is going on. This is almost as bad, not as bad, but as long as a Road America pace lap.
It's not that long a track, but it's tight, it is twisty. The
Yes.
action is going to be intense tonight as the pace car peels off.
There we go. So we come out of turn 14 onto the front straight. The start zone is right at the end of that exit curbing there as we wait for the real-life starter to give the green flag and the command to go racing. And there we go. Green flag is in the air for our GT4 racers as they make the run down to that 90-degree left-hand turn at turn number 1. Mike Dam to the inside, Chuck Labano to the outside. He's able to cover off Travis Schwenke as we've got Brad Husty slotting into 4th place. And Brendan Horn coming up the inside. And look at this as Mike Dam falls off, or pardon me, Dam and Schwenke fall off the pace. And our new leader, Chuck Labano, as we take a look now at our TCR start, as they get the green flag, the 2 D2D racers making up that front row and going around from the outside. It is Brandon Whitworth. He gets around his teammate Eric Violet, but look at this now as Nick Horvath comes up the inside. And now as we look at the GT4 GT4s, that's Robert Hartley who's gone off, and Brad Husty as well. And those two drivers now going to find themselves on the pit lane. And as things now straighten out in TCR, maybe we can take a look and see exactly what happened as Mike Dam is under attack there by Brennan Horan, and believe that is for position as well. Number 93 machine drops back in the 4th.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. By the way, yeah, that was Husty now in the pits. He started this race up in 3rd, and you see he's out already. We already saw that Robert Hartley having trouble in the opening lap, just like he did at a couple weeks back there at Magny-Cours. So rough start for some of our favorites in this race, but it means Chuck Labano now with the lead out of the AM category right to the front of the field overall.
There you go, as Labano now has opened up over a 2nd advantage on Travis Schwenke, on Brendan Horn, and Mike Dam. And so Dam, our pole sitter, finding himself all the way back in 4th position right now. Oh, and we have somebody else. There's Robert Hartley. And it looks like John Casey just went around as well before he completes his first flying lap. As he was coming out of the final corner, Larry, on the front straight, John Casey goes around. He's going to fall to the back of the field.
That dirt there just past the curbing and sent him around. Wow, that's a bit crazy. This, though, that is Tom Jenkins right there. He's also moved up a couple of spots early in this race, leading this little pack with Peyton Jacobs and Daniel right behind him. A little gap in front of him, though, to Mike Dan, was battling it out with Brendan Moore, but Jenkins, good start so far.
Yeah, Jenkins, who started in 6th position. Now, of course, we've had a couple of drivers fall off the course ahead of him. But So far, a good run for him.
Here's the replay of the opening lap, and there's the slide by Hartley right in the middle of turn 3. Just goes around, just loses it all by himself. Got tapped a little, but that was after he had already lost the back end. So that's one of your favorites gone right there, or at least down the order pretty far. He's not out, but he lost a whole lot of track position.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Husty is in the pit lane. We did have Hartley rejoin. He is currently sitting 12th overall right now. So quite a bit further back in the field as we jump over. We're looking at the TCR battle between the two D2D E-racers there for a moment, but let's take a look here as another driver to make up a number of positions. This is Steve May, who is currently sitting 5th in AM, and he's got Steve Daniel 5th in Pro, along with Russ Ruddick along for the ride.
I thought Steve Daniel was up a few more spots. I think he just lost a few spots, brought him back into this battle. So have to keep our eyes on him. Like a lot of shuffling going on, a lot of ups and down movement here early in this race. And there's the battle I think Steve Daniel was a part of a minute ago. Yeah. That's that Jenkins, Payton, and Jacobs battle. Now down to 3. It was 5 cars flat to go. Now to 3 as the others have scattered just a bit.
All right, and looks like now Brad Husty, we've got queued up that incident. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened.
I don't know if he had help, but he certainly went off in a hurry as he smacked that wall and driver's right there before turn 4 really hard. And that's why he's in getting some needed repairs. But rough start for him. Meanwhile, his teammates, he's running pretty well up here in this battle for 5th.
Yeah, so making that run out of turn 3, you go down the hill, you compress down at the bottom, then start to rise back up. Kind of, sort of like the toe of the boot at the Glen, but without all the camber helping you out, because it kind of goes off camber a little bit. And we saw now 2 different drivers have the rear end step out on them, and that is definitely a very difficult portion of the track. And frankly, Larry, I didn't think the exit of turn 3 and going up the hill towards turn 4 was going to be the choke point. I actually thought the S's, those decreasing radius S's at turns 5, 6, and 7 were going to be the difficult place for the GT4 cars here. It may serve as a problem for the TCR cars as well, as they're going to have to manage their front tires. But I thought, maybe a little further up the road was going to be the challenge for them.
Yeah, it seems that they bunch up as they come out of those. Here's a good angle here. Coming out of, I think, turn 9 now, heading down to 10 as this battle continues of Jenkins, Payton, and Jeff Jacobs. We're on board here, I believe, with David Payton. Trying to find a way on by. Look at the backup, and there's Jeff Jacobs sticking his nose of his Mercedes in wherever he thinks he can find it. And everyone's got different speed. And remember, I talked about this at the beginning, that a fast lap by yourself around here isn't necessarily the lap you drive. It's not the line you drive when you're in a train, because you don't want to leave yourself exposed, but it does slow that train down. And what you'll see is you'll take a defensive line, and the cars behind will be faster, but not enough to complete a pass. It's very fascinating the way this track is laid out. It's not your traditional Road America style of just passing the braking and take the position.
All right, let's jump back over to this battle in TCR here, and we'll see. Actually, as we're watching that, I think we've got Stephen May queued up in the is that in the 78 machine.
That replay, that is the John Casey spin.
John Casey, that's right. That's the Casey spin coming out of the final corner.
Just caught some of that exit curve and sent himself around, unfortunately. Our guy's trying to give us all the replays. There's so much happening right now. It's hard to keep track of all of it, but the Johns are keeping up.
Yeah, definitely reasonably well here as we're watching now Stephen May with Steve Daniel and just behind Russ Ruddick as well. This is the fight for 9th overall.
Gaggle of BMWs here. Just so hard to brake when you're just running all the way down that hill without going too deep and just pushing wide. You get on the power just right. 180. It's very difficult. These guys here coming around turn 14, this long sweeper, and that looks like Husty just got himself a bit, or Jenkins, excuse me, just got a bit wide there.
Yeah, and that's not the first time I've seen that, Larry. The previous lap, he had run very wide coming through that big long 180, that big sweeper at turn 14 as well. that I think he turned in a little bit too early, and it pushes you very wide on exit there. But again, one of those very difficult corners to judge. You can try to look far ahead, but unfortunately there are, other than the white lines that you have around the entire course here, you'll see, as you can see right here as we're watching Travis Schwenke follow Brennan Horn through, other than the very thin white lines, there's no real change in coloration of the pavement. It just seems to go on there, and I think some of these drivers may be having some issues picking up reference points for turn in and exit because of that.
Part of that is the unfamiliarity. It's the newness of this track a little bit. This might be, as Chad Osborne mentioned, maybe the first time these drivers are actually attacking this track in anger with other cars on it. They might have done a couple of solo practices during the week, but I know the Ricmotech series does encourage drivers, gives away some points if you participate in enough practice. But some guys, you get busy, you don't have time. This is where that really hurts, is when you have a brand new track come into a series and no one's had a chance to really put the time down. The one that can, I'm guessing Chuck Lomano has put the time in. Brennan also may have put the time in. These two AM category guys are blowing the field away, making the veterans, folks like Schwenke, Dam, and Rob Hartley, the Orion drivers, kind of making them look like they're a bit out of their element coming into tonight. And part of that is preparation. I suspect Lomano is prepared. He's just out there hitting marks, turning mid-25s, and the rest of the field struggling to even get down to a low 26. It's pretty amazing. But again, if you can put in the time, the lap time's there. You just have to really practice and get it down.
Sure. I mean, and it certainly helps with Lomano right now that almost from the drop of the green flag because of the incidents right behind him, because of the issues with Mike Dam and some of the other folks, right, and Brad Husty, for example, that he has not been under pressure so far, like some of the drivers behind him have. Like, for example, David Payton right now with Jeff Jacobs and Tom Jenkins behind.
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned about how much faster this place is if you're by yourself, because you can pick and choose your lines. As soon as you're under pressure, your lap times fall quickly because now you're having to take a defensive line everywhere as we're watching this battle of Jenkins and Jacobs swapping spots. It's exactly what happens. It's why they're losing sight now with Peyton out in front of them.
Yeah, it didn't take long at all. They don't have to be side by side.
Right.
and the thing is, Larry, that when you're running solo in practice, how do you know what is actually a defensive line here? Because I think what we've seen is with a couple of drivers where they have come offline and seemingly trying to protect coming in the corners. It's always a little bit of contact there. Russ Ruddick into the back of Robert Hartley in the battle for 11th overall. That you go and you're trying to protect, but not only does it compromise your entry speed, but some of these drivers they're running into these camber changes and it's really affecting their ability to put the power down coming out, just because they've wandered a couple of feet off of what we would think would be the correct line.
Yeah, this is a real test of weight transfer. You talk to a lot of drivers, pro drivers and things, and they'll really just say all racing is managing weight transfer. That's all you're ever doing. But this place puts it to the end, where you're constantly trying to figure out, how do I get the weight from the left to the right just right? Well, nope, let me throw that in down a hill as your weight's on the front of the car. How do I get the braking, get the accelerating right as I'm throwing the weight around and trying to balance it? It's a very difficult test that drivers who do it well are going to do well tonight. Out the front of the field, Lomano still start pulling away from Brennan Horn. Brennan's started maybe settling the gap a little bit, but still the mid 2 seconds continues to grow bit by bit. Mike Dam was able to get around teammate Travis Schwenke, so Dam now back up to third after starting this race on pole position. He's got Schwenke now right on his sixth as they're trying to chase Brennan Horn, as Dam may have had a slowdown penalty.
I think that's exactly what the case is there, as his teammate Travis Schwenke goes by drivers left, as you saw Dam pull the car over drivers right and get out of the throttle just a little bit.
Yep, right there, probably right around that turn 1 complex. You cut the corner in 1 or you go wide in 2, and you're going to catch that slowdown. It looks like Mike Dam suffered it, and I've seen a few drivers that may have done that already in this race. Mike Dam, all that work to get by Travis Schwenke, and they were just about to be up on the heels of Brennan Horn. that's all lost, unfortunately for both of them, because now even Schwenke is still that second or so back. So we'll see if they can work their way back up before it's too late to catch them. It's helped that it's your teammates in the case of Schwenke and Dan, but not another competitor who might take away your lap times and push you around a little bit. This is a fascinating race to watch how this is playing out.
Yeah, very, very much so, as we're now, and Larry, only about 12 minutes into this 16-minute race, 13 minutes now into this 60-minute race. There is still a lot of racing action left to go here from Rudskogen. And you know, so I was wondering also, especially with some of these hairpins and very tight turns that come up on you as you're bringing the car down the hill. What do you think the chances are that we've got the drivers manipulating their brake bias, their brake balance here multiple times a lap, maybe to put a little bit more bias to the front as the car comes down the hill and the rear end gets unloaded?
I could see someone trying that. I don't know if during the race how much that would be. You definitely would adjust it as the tire temperatures change.
Sure.
Your opening lap bias might be a bit to the front, maybe a little bit more to the rear as things warm up, and maybe back a little bit as things wear as the race goes on. Lap to lap might be something you might try and qualify to optimize, but doing that lap to lap in the race, that's Schumacher-esque kind of stuff that us mortals.
I was going to say that's putting
of.
a lot of putting a lot of stress on the driver to have to worry about that and whatever they might have sitting right behind them.
Yeah, I want to say, I forget if it was Hungaroring or someplace like that where Michael Schumacher used to do 4 brake bias adjustments per lap for an entire 80 lap race or whatever it was, some ridiculous number that the rest of us mere mortals could never possibly comprehend. It's amazing stuff if you can pull that off. So perhaps that's what the secret to Lobano is doing. Maybe he's going corner to corner, shifting that bias a couple clicks forward and back. Whatever he's doing right now, it's working because this is 2, 3, and 4, and number 1 is nowhere to be seen. He's so far up the board.
Yeah, now Chuck Lobano now opening up over a 3.5 second advantage, and you saw there that both Schwenke and Dam managed to pull right back up to the back of Brennan Horn. So we'll see how things play out there in that battle for second overall. Should mention that both Lobano and Horn are your GT4 AM drivers. And so your pro leader right now is Travis Schwenke, sitting 3rd overall.
Yeah, that says obviously a lot about how fast Lobano and Horn are tonight, because we know that often the Orion drivers, it's no secret, they're kind of the benchmark around here. If you're beating an Orion driver, you're doing pretty good. Right now, there's 2 guys beating 2 Orion drivers, saying a lot about the preparation that Brennan Horn and Chuck Lobano came to play tonight.
It appears that they did, and we shouldn't leave out that 3rd Orion Racing driver, Robert Hartley, who after his lap 1 incident is still sitting mired down in 11th place, has not been able to find a way by Steve Daniel or Stephen May, who started off. Stephen May started off in, I believe, 13th position, and now finds himself in 9th. But just as I say that, May runs wide. Oh my!
Yeah, this is just crazy to watch. Just watching those 2 with Rob Hartley, just not sure what to do because he's got these 2 rivals. These guys battling it out, and he's coming on them saying, I'd like to get by. And he thinks probably, maybe correctly, that he's faster if he can get by. But this shows that there's craziness again, to try and find your way through now in a 3-way battle. You're having to pick and choose without causing it too much strife to your own pace. We'll see if he can get his way by as May maybe makes a move onto Daniel. But now we got trying to make a move on Brennan Horn, not quite able to make it stick as they switch back the other way for this. What is this, 5, 6, 7?
This is the S's section over at 5, 6, 7. As Schwenke had gotten Horn a little bit out of sorts coming out of turn 4, and continues with the pressure coming out of the S's going into turns 8, and as they make the run down to another hairpin. This is over at turn 10.
Beautiful stuff. Look at this, is about 7 corners in a row, side by side. Schwenke's still not able to stick the pass. He has been alongside at least 3 times through this half a lap. Not able to, because every time he does, he's on the wrong side for corner exit. I think if he tries that again, he might have a chance through the turn 10 hairpin. He got a little squirrely under braking going in. If he would have been better on the brakes, he might have been able to pull the nose ahead before they got to 12. But You know, right back there, you just got Mike Dam just watching this thing of beauty. Winky and Oren really putting out of his play of how to race cleanly side by side, no context. There's a dive to the inside, though, as the other Orion drive looks like he got tangled with May.
That's right. Hartley and May go off track and trying to track down where that is there. But
somewhere around the turn 13, 14, if I got that right.
Yeah, I think you're right there before they come into the final carousel section there. But now Travis Schwenke, he finally displaces Brennan Horan with that strong move, that dive into turn 1. Oh my gosh! All right, let's take a look and see exactly what happened.
Alonso-esque lunge. I gotta say that for those that watch the F1 race. No spoilers.
No, not at all. All right, let's take a look and see what happened with Robert Hartley and Mr. May.
Oh. May just didn't run wide to the exit, and Hartley got caught off guard. I think he was expecting May to be out by the curbing, and just wasn't.
Yep, wasn't there, and they both hard impacts to the wall. Stephen May now finds himself in the pit lane, as we've got one of our TCR drivers off, and I believe that was Scott Brooks. Yeah, and the black number 49 Hyundai.
Yeah, rough night for Hartley so far. You know, we saw the spin by himself, where there was actually contact while he was spinning, and then later on he got a little bit of a love tap in the back from Russ Ruddick, and now he has the contact here with Stephen May, who's now in the pits. It looks like a little early for a fuel stop, but maybe a little bit of damage he's got to take care of. He is on his way out of the pit, so maybe there's a quick check.
Yeah, maybe a quick check. It may be so. You know, we haven't discussed the pit windows here, Larry.
So a real quick replay of Scott Brooks now.
Yeah.
As he's in front of a couple of cars. It looked like they were trying to maybe get around him. He got hit from behind. Let's see who that was. That was Sterling by chance? They might have got him?
I think that was the 87 Civic Type R that got into
Yeah, we'll see if the stewards take a look at that. That was
and we've just gotten word from race control, Larry, that the 87 machine, John Sterling, is getting a drive-through penalty as he's been assigned responsibility for that incident.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for the both of them, but penalty appropriate in this case. As we flash back up now to the 68 of Jenkins, chasing the back of Chad Osborne, who's done all right for himself so far in this race. He said he didn't have much practice, but I think he's finding the groove around here.
Yeah, I mean, he's got himself, and he's a pretty good distance back from Labano and Horn, who lead the AM category. But right now, Jenkins is on line. Probably Osborne is on line for a podium, but Tom Jenkins, who's right behind him there in the number 68 Aston, might have designs on that position as both of those drivers now come underneath the black black Hyundai again of Brooks, the 49 machine.
As Brooks trying not to get rear-ended again as the battle comes up on him. He was just trying to stay out of the way there in turn 1 and let these GT4s roll on by. It does look like John Sterling has done his drive-through penalty, and Stephen May, he's one of the GT4 drivers, is in the pits now. It looks like the first of our potentially scheduled stops.
Yeah, maybe a little bit coming in a little bit early, Larry. We kind of expected the pit window for the GT4 cars to open up right around lap 16.
So I'm wondering if he had some damage in the contact with Hartley.
I think that's the case.
He came in, he may have gone out and come back in. So that might be what's going on with Steven, unfortunately. Maybe taking on more repairs than he initially had thought he needed.
Yeah, and given, well, he's, looks like he's back on his way out, Larry. So, yeah, we shall see.
Yep. Meanwhile, the leader in TCR got a good shot of him right there. Eric Violet, always the last man to qualify, seems every week, but always ends up there in that front row. And he and his teammate Whitworth tend to swap the lead off. And right now it's Eric Violet with about a 4-second lead on Brandon Whitworth at the front of the TCR. Nick Horvath in his Honda currently in the 3rd spot, just a couple seconds behind Whitworth, to the point where he can almost see him there in the distance. And any mix up for Whitworth, and Horvath's going to be right there.
Horvath can can fight. You know, as we were talking about those the pit windows for the GT4 cars, very interesting for the TCR cars tonight, Larry, as we anticipate that they will probably be running about 40 laps tonight over the course of the 60 minutes. And for the amount of fuel that the TCR cars can carry, they can go maybe in upwards of 37 laps. So a very, very large pit window for the TCR cars. And we know the D2D boys, they typically, when they pit, like to pit so that they can get at least an extra bonus point for leading, basically to put their teammate into the lead so that they can get a point for leading a lap. We'll have to see how that plays out tonight here, and whether that's going to be possible based on how big this fuel window is.
Well, leading your lap per class, I believe that is. And right now, Travis Schwenke is leading GT4 Pro. He just happens to be 6 seconds behind Chuck Labano, your AM leader, leading the overall race right now. And there's our overall. Thank you. Right on cue. About just under 6 seconds between Labano and your pro leader, Schwenke. Brennan Horan, second in the AM. About 1 second back. And you can see him right there with a Mike Dam filling his mirrors behind him.
Yeah, but at least at this point hasn't been as nearly as aggressive as Travis Schwenke was a couple laps ago. I mean, we even saw that as Schwenke and Horn had gone through what, 3/4 of a lap door to door, and Mike Dam giving himself an out, sitting at that point, you know, back 4 or so car lengths. And he still hasn't really brought the battle yet, the Horn, here as we watch this battle with Jenkins, and just ahead of Tom Jenkins is Chad Osborne. And again, this is for position. This is the battle for third right now in GT4 AM. We've got Steve Daniel who's running 4th and pro in that we call that aquamarine and brown BMW a little bit further back. But Jenkins, who started at 8th tonight, finds himself in 7th position. And
Steve Daniel dives to the pit, so he's no longer part of that battle. But you mentioned Chad Osborne's picked up a couple of positions already early in this race. One of the bigger movers, if not the biggest mover in this field. So good start for him, as you mentioned, all the way up to the 3rd spot in the AM category. We'll have to see Steve Daniel, as we got a good shot of him there going through the pits. We'll see if this should be right on as an early stop to make it to the end of the race.
Yep, and this should be enough to get him. As we mentioned, we thought the pit window was going to be opening up around lap 16, so this should be enough to get him to the checkered flag here, as Brendan Horn running wide once again, but manages to hold off Mike Dam.
You had mentioned about the maybe toned down aggression of Mike Dam, not nearly pushing as hard behind Brendan Horn. My thought on that was, okay, it's not his teammate in front of him now. He's maybe thinking his teammate could have a chance to try and push and try and catch Labano, but maybe Dan was thinking, work with Brendan Horn, try to catch Labano a little bit, close that gap down before trying to push any moves, and let Schwenke dictate the pace of all 3 of them. That hasn't seemed to be the case, because frankly, Labano is just too fast to be caught. He's going to take something else, because he's just on another level on this track tonight. Then throw in that move there for, unfortunately for Brendan Horn, losing some momentum. Now Horn and Dam have both lost sight of Schwenke. It's a couple seconds up the road, and you can see how Dam now may be looking at an opportunity. We'll see if he's able to make that by, as into the pits is Chad Osborne.
All right, so Osborne now pitting in from 4th in the AM, from 7th overall. And we saw there now, finally, just as we're saying it, Mike Dam sees some chinks in the armor of Brendan Horn, and now the number 93 machine takes over 3rd position overall. Again, that's your pole sitter, Mike Dam. And after, well, let's see, Brendan Horn trying to push the issue.
Well, you know, we've talked to Brendan about this before, about mixing it up with the pro class drivers. And his comment in the past has been, he'll battle if it's easy, but he's not going to push too hard because that's not his fight. He's in the M category. He'll fight the M drivers. And I think this may be one of those cases where they both kind of said to each other, I'm not in a battle, but our pace is fine. Let's just see how this works out.
Yeah, to see how it works together. And if you need, and if Dam feels that he can take the lead. And you saw there where as opposed to the fight originally with Schwenke, Horn did not extend that battle out for more than 2 or 3 corners versus 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah, so in this case, it looked like Horn had made a mistake going into turn 1 last lap, and it just put the two of them side by side. At some point, the battle was over. Mike Dam's going to take that spot. Now we'll see the real pace of Mike Dam. Does he have those 25s in him at this stage of the race to catch right back up to Schwenke? Also worth noting, what was a 5.5 second lead from Lobano to Schwenke, now under 3. Not sure if that's related to traffic or a slowdown or what that was, but he is now in traffic. There's our leader, Chuck Lobano.
Yeah, and so let's take a look here at go on board right now with I think Jeff Jacobs in his BMW, or probably in his Mercedes.
Yeah, caught a little bit of that grass on driver's left. Does he make contact? Yes, he does, all the way to the wall. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a big gravel trap there, and that looks like a very much shortened Mercedes AMG GT4 as Lobano now makes his way around the Honda Civic of I guess that's Horvath and the number 82 machine.
So yeah, and what's happening here is Lobano is getting caught, it seems, in a couple of bad spots through traffic. That's why that lead's come down to 2.4. And you'd seen the lap times a moment ago. We saw the gaps between he and Schwenke. And it was essentially down to 1 single lap. He lost about 2.5 seconds. He needs to be efficient through this field. Maybe he's got it looks like clear daylight in front of him. He should be able to lay down some lap times now and force Schwenke to get on by Horvath there in that TCR. So Lobano maybe just get a little bit nervous here. Maybe had some confidence, built a big lead, but
exactly. It didn't take long to go away. Now, we only have 20 drivers out on course, Larry. So over a 2-mile course, there isn't a ton of traffic. But as we've said many times, finding your way around drivers, making those passes here because of the constant changes in direction, because of the camber changes, certainly makes things difficult. Now it looks like Travis Schwenke had a much easier time of it than Lobano did trying to get around the Civic of Nick Horvath. But one of the things that Eric Violet had mentioned here was that the big issue here is, in order for these GT4 cars to get around the TCR cars, is that if they try to take the outside through some of these corners to get around the TCR car, they'll almost never make it. At least that was Violet's impression during the practice sessions this week. And so you see there now where we have Mike Dam
he just
coming
dove inside
to make it.
So you're right. He didn't want to try just waiting and going around the outside, just cutting in on that apex at 13 to make sure that he had it. And then at that point, Horvath backed out a little bit. And that does seem to be the only way to go. This looks like 64 David Payton pitting from the, I believe, 5th overall in the race.
Yeah, indeed, from 5th overall, 3rd in pro.
Let's see. One of our early pitters. So far, Payton is in. Rob Hartley just came in right behind him. And we know Daniel and Chad Osborne each pit a moment ago. And there's Hartley, not having the strongest night, but he had made his way back up to 8th overall.
So we watch him come down the pit lane, and another driver. This is Russ Ruddick in the number 95 machine, the number 95 BMW. He is in as well, as we're starting to see many more drivers come in. John Sterling in the 87 Honda Civic Type R. Of course, he came through earlier and served his drive-through penalty. Now he's taking his pit stop, and he's all the way at the back end of that pit lane. There is he'll go and get a load of fuel to get him to the end of the race. Not going to need that much. It appears as Lobano now, that last time by, Larry, pretty much matching the pace of Travis Schwenke behind, but now Schwenke comes down the pit lane and he is starting his pit cycle. And let's see here, also coming in, Brennan Horan.
Yeah, so we'll get a really good gauge here on how much fuel. We know the Orion guys are sort of famous lately for having very, very short pit stops, very efficient fuel usage in their cars. We'll see if that's the case as both he and Brennan Horn from D2D come in at the same time, and leaving Chuck Labano, overall race leader, and Amplant category leader out on track. Mike Dam stays out. Should pick up a bonus point for leading the pro category for a lap. We'll see how much longer before he does make his way back in. Jenkins and Jacobs both stay out as well. As you can see, they're on the leaderboard, those first 4 names. And yeah, a little slow exit there for Brennan Horn. I don't know if that was, he didn't have it in the right gear. Maybe he had it in second instead of first, but he's back on the way now as our overall race leader. There he is, Chuck Labano in that Merc. Still hustling out there, now past the halfway mark at 33 minutes and counting.
Yeah, and he's coming up on the 42 of Brandon Whitworth. Let's see what it takes for him to get around this machine, Larry, and then maybe what we'll do is we'll go and head the break here. But let's take a look and see how Labano deals with the 42 machine.
And probably just gonna wait till straightaway. No, it's a lot of tracks we go to. There's sometimes a significant time delta between the GT4s and TCRs. Not the case tonight. These guys are generally only about 2.5 seconds a lap between them, between the fastest of the TCRs and the fastest of the GT4s, which we're kind of looking at a representative of that representative groups there. And you can see how many corners that 93 and that BMW GT4 car had to wait to get past the Honda Civic and TCR. So it's not easy. There's only a couple of places where there's really a difference between them, and it seems that front straight's one of them. But other than that, really easy to hold a car behind you if you're a TCR car, because your pace is right there with the GT4s.
Yeah, well, and that was one of the things Eric Violet said about TCR cars passing other TCR cars. He said, unless you make a mistake, ain't gonna happen. Yeah. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Let's thank some of our partners and sponsors of the series, and when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here from Rudskogen, where you're watching round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
To scenic Rudskogen Motor Center in beautiful Norway. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and we're here for round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics. And Larry, there you go, sitting right at the front end of the pit lane was our former leader Chuck Labano, who's refueled that Mercedes-AMG GT4. He's back underway as Travis Schwenke now drives by. And
we have a battle.
Yeah, is going to be slotting into 4th position overall, still first in AM, still ahead of Brennan Horn. So he comes back out of the pit cycle here, maintains that lead over Brennan Horn, who's going to slot in the 2nd in AM, right back behind him.
Just remember when Travis Schwenke pit a few laps ago, it was about a 3-second gap between he and Lobano. I know they're not in the same class, but we're talking about for the overall. Lobano comes out behind. Lobano's pit time in this stall about 23.5. Travis Schwenke's about 21.5. So there's 2 of those 3 seconds. Schwenke probably a little more efficient, maybe making the traffic on his in and out laps. And here we have it, a swap for the overall lead. Schwenke and Orion. He comes in on a streak of, I think, 3 straight wins, trying to make it 4 if I got that math right. But I don't know that Lobano's going to go anywhere. I think he may want this overall as badly as anybody.
Yeah, I'm wondering, with just about 20 minutes remaining in the race, a little bit more, as we see Jeff Jacobs now pitting in from 2nd overall. If Lobano is going to try and push the issue with Schwenke, or if he's going to be content there finishing in 2nd, he still has about a 6-second advantage over Brendan Horan at this point.
Mike Dan still yet to pit. He could be, I believe, the last of the GT4. John Casey hasn't.
John Casey.
So there's still 2 of them
in
the GT4s. Other than that, but the TCRs, quite a few still have not pit. So we're waiting on the front runners there. Violet Whitworth and Nick Horvath, none of them have made their stops yet. There is Eric Violet. Right now it is 89, the purple trim D2D car.
Yeah, and maybe we've got that question once again, Larry, because we've seen where Violet has in some instances, and now there you go, coming into the pit lane, Mike Dam taking his pit stop, which should be his only pit stop of the evening. But we've seen in previous seasons where Eric Violet stretches the fuel on that Civic Type bar a little bit longer than we would expect. Now, as we said, that fuel window for the TCR cars, what we think is the fuel window, should take them to within 3 laps of the checkered flag. The question is whether or not he can eke an extra 3 laps of fuel. It's a lot of fuel saving.
Yeah. But you know what, though? That's the thing about Eric Violet. He knows that car very well. He comes prepared. He knows the calculations. And if it's possible, he would probably try it. But we will have to see. But first, I want to see there's my answer. Where are Schwenke and Lobano as Mike Dam's coming through pit out? Looks like it's going to be right in the mix of this battle. And Mike Dam may also have jumped Lobano. Let's see. Lobano's going to sneak up right behind Schwenke. Dam's going to get there first, though. And both Orion cars have leapfrogged past Lobano. Brennan Horan really kind of lost out in that entire mix. Remember, he was kind of in between those or right there with those Orion cars before all this started. He's now 8 seconds back from this. So the Orion guys are picking up the pace here at this stage of the race. And Chuck Lobano, who led the first 26 laps or so, finds himself still leading AM category by a pretty good margin, by about that 8 seconds to Brennan Horn. But he wants the overall. He's got to pass not 1, but 2 Orion cars.
Yeah, and so I'll have to see here, Larry. Now, I'll tell you, when Mike Dam was coming down the pit lane, we could see where he was coming when he was coming up on those cones to signify the end of the pit lane speed limiter zone there. It looked for a moment as though Lobano was going to be able to get by the 93, but it almost looked as though he may have. I'm not saying he let the 93 merge into traffic there, but it looked as though perhaps he had laid out of the throttle just a little bit. And maybe it's a question of just, again, not necessarily looking for the fight, making sure that he's got the car to get to the checkered flag.
Yeah, and you get to that, but we've talked all night about how difficult it is within a class to make passes around here. In fact, the passes we've seen, and there have been a few, all seem to be more mistake prone. The car in front of the pair or the triplet makes a mistake, and the trailing car makes it on by. Chuck Lobano may just be saying to himself, it's not worth that risk-reward of pushing to try and get the Orion guys, who often are the benchmark of pace around here, to force them into a mistake when he's already got the lead pretty substantially in the AM category.
Right.
So that maybe he's thinking is, I'm not going to change the number of points I can accumulate. I need to chip into Brennan Horn's overall class lead. Why not do it? What's the better way to do it than sitting in the shadows of a couple of Orion cars for the next 18 minutes and coming away with a class victory? So he's looks like he may have figured that's the best strategy for him tonight. Great run. You got to hand it to him to take the lead on the opening lap and to try to not look back. He's done a pretty solid job of that tonight, and he's doing what he can to hold down that AM victory.
Yeah, and at this point, he's got to hold station for 18 minutes or thereabouts, and heck, you don't even see Brennan Horn in the shot actually there. He's just coming up the hill as Brennan Horn now almost 8 full seconds back, and has been running a half a second to a second off of Labano's times here continuously, and we'll see how, you know, Brennan, who it had been struggling, I think, quite a bit early on to hold off both Schwenke and Dam prior to those pit stops, whether or not he's going to have some tires underneath him when the end of this race comes around, and we may find that gap back to Labano expanding out. The question is whether Chad Osborne, who's currently sitting in third, can do anything about it. But Osborne,
speaking of,
yeah,
he's got a Rob Hartley on his side. He lets Rob on go. Again, it's one of those cases of different class, maybe not his fight. He's obviously, for Chad Osborne, trying to solidify a potential podium there in the AM category. Getting mixed up with Rob Hartley is probably not going to help that, so good job there. Let it go on by. Hartley now to 7th overall, 5th in pro. Osborne still holding down that by about 2.5 seconds over Tom Jenkins. Chad sitting in 3rd in AM.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, for Osborne to work his way all the way up the horn, we're looking at somewhere along the lines of almost 25, 30 seconds. So, not all that likely, and unless Horn has some major issues, as we see Mike Dam. He's had a lot of struggles coming out of that final corner, Larry.
There's been quite a few tonight of that. You really keep that in check. The only one I've seen to do it consistently has been Labano. Very team. Yeah. In fact, if you watch his lines, it's a very tight line in a lot of places for Labano. Tighter than most other drivers that we see. Watch, this is actually a good example. Coming down the hill into turn 3, and you watch the Orion driver stay a little bit wide, a little longer, and out the back there, you probably should see an early turn in. Yeah, and you see that tighter line
earlier.
and come in. For Labano, he's been doing that all night, cutting distance. And as an autocrosser, I'll tell you, often distance is the name of the game. Most times, classic road racing lines are outside apex, outside. But if you have a long connected series of directional sweepers in the same way, often, if you're not doing anything but just coasting in because it's decreasing radius, just cut the distance and get to the apex. And that looks like what Labano is doing, about a car width at a time. So smart move there to understand that distance trade-off, using it to his advantage while everyone else does the more traditional wide entry and look for an apex somewhere down the road.
Yeah, and while we saw as they're coming through this sequence now, we watched a little bit earlier as Dam was coming through turn 8 through another one of these little kind of carousel sections, and there he ended up turning in very early and then pretty much having to grab the car by the scruff of its neck to keep it from going out of bounds. It really appears that these drivers, I mean, they're maybe with the exception of Labano, they're never driving this course the same way twice, and it's not, they just don't seem to be able to get into any kind of rhythm.
It's a very difficult track to find that rhythm. Labano seems to be able to do it tonight. I think Schwenke and Dam are getting close. I think this has been a lot of time development for them, a lot of speed picked up over the course of this 45 minutes so far, and they're starting to get into finding the rhythm of Rudskogen, because it's just an awkward track at first to figure this out. I remember the first couple laps I took around here, I forget, it was maybe an F3 or something crazy, and every lap I was going a second faster from like the first lap to the first 12 laps or something like that, because I was so slow because it was so awkward. And then you go, oh, I figured a corner out, there's a second, I figured another corner out, there's another second. And I wonder if the Orion guys are feeling that tonight, is while they were in the high 25s on provisional in qualifying, to do that in the course of the race is difficult, and to figure out where that race pace is. And I think they're finally settling in, as our leader in TCR has finally come in for his stop, Eric Weilet.
Well, there's the answer. He's not going to try and bring the car all the way to the checkered flag as he pits in with a little bit under 15 minutes remaining here. That is Eric Violet, driver of the number 89 machine, and look at how little fuel that he had to take in order to get that car out. Again, they had already limited, Larry, the TCR cars to about half of their fuel cell in order just to even make them take a pit stop here this evening.
Now, I know the GT4s have already pit, but for Schwenke, Dam, and Lobano, they just passed Eric Violet for the first time tonight while Eric was in the pits. Shows you how similar pace these TCRs are to the GT4s, that they were on the same lap through lap 31, and it wasn't until they finished lap 32 and started this lap 33 that they finally were able to put the entire field of TCRs a lap down. Just very impressive. In fact, I'm not sure that Brandon Whitworth is yet a full lap down. I think he's right in front of these guys.
I was going to say, I think both Horvath and Violet are probably Horvath and Whitworth, pardon me.
Yeah. Whitworth is...
Although I'm fairly certain we saw Horvath get lapped earlier prior to the pit stops.
Yeah, so I'm just watching these guys. But it just shows you the general pace of these two classes and how similar they really are. Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch.
Yeah, the Whitworth has run in a high 28 compared to again a high 25, so only about 3 seconds. And again, the laps here are
at their best. Yeah. But you start going offline, which a lot of the GT4 classes have been contested tonight. Their average lap times were nowhere near those high 25s. No. The TCRs, to be honest, less battles 1-to-1 TCRs tonight, so they were running more their own pace the entire time. Just amazing to watch their lines come down the hill. And there's Mike Dam starting to use some of that line that Chuck Lobano was finding. Oh, but Dam goes wide. Let's see if that's going to be a slowdown as he goes across with just a 1.
Yeah, we'll have to see here if that's enough to give him a slowdown penalty.
He's still keeping his pace as they come up onto the tail of the leading two, Nick Horvath, currently running second in TCR, but he has not yet to stop. Both are still out there in their original fuel tank. Oh, there's a dive bomb move in contact from Lobano on Dam, thinking maybe Lobano thought Dam had really missed the corner. But there was definitely a little bit of rub there. That Mercedes into the back of that BMW. Let's see if he backs off and gives a little more room.
A little more room. All right, and there we go. Pitting in from the lead in TCR, Brendan Whitworth, driver of the number 42 D2D E-Racing Honda Civic Type R.
Looks like Horvath maybe stays out. He does.
He does.
Trying to pick up that bonus point.
Indeed. So Nick Horvath in the number 42 Civic stays out for at least one additional lap. And as you mentioned, that should give him a bonus point for leading a lap.
So we just saw that contact there, kind of an inadvertent little bit of rubbing as they were going through the hairpin of Lobano on Mike Dam. And I had noticed that Lobano really was looking like, kind of like, you're hanging with the big guys. I can run with them a little bit. Let me just test the waters a little bit and see if I can maybe shove my nose in here a little bit. And unfortunately, it was probably the wrong place to do it. But
yes.
I think he's feeling confident that his pace tonight at this track is right on with these Orion drivers. And, you get that confidence thinking maybe I can steal a spot here. But, clear heads have prevailed. Luckily, it wasn't a huge amount of contact, just a light rub, maybe just a zero.
Small little rub, but yeah. So again, certainly, when you only have now just 9 minutes remaining before the checkered flag comes out, you don't want to do anything to throw away your second one in a row.
Now, going for his, I believe, 5th win in a row is Travis Schwenke. Comes into this with a 3rd place podium in Atlanta, wins at Daytona, Mount Panorama, and Magny Score. The last 3 runs. What's that?
I thought you were going to say Detroit.
Oh. No, Daytona, Detroit, very different places.
Yeah,
a lot of measurable categories there. But no, comes in with 3 straight wins. Mike Dam comes into this with not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 straight second place finishes. So the question is, with 8.5 minutes to go, do we hold form, or does Mike Dam blow this up and try to steal a win and end the streak at Travis Schwenke?
Yeah, and Larry, we should note that, you know, these are in some cases, and it's been unfortunate because we haven't been able to get Mike in for some of these interviews, you know, because these have in some cases been races that he has led and has had issues and problems getting the car to the checkered flag, and that he has been in position to take some of those wins away from Schwenke. As we see,
a little wide there. That's not gonna help.
Nice four-wheel drift coming through the corner there. So we'll. It looks, Larry. Let's jump to a replay here.
Is Brad Husty?
I don't think things are going to end up very well for Brad Husty.
That is straight pulling off.
And my understanding is that he blew the engine.
That is a lot like a Ferrari in Formula One right there. Just,
right.
Oh, no, and off you go. Sorry for my Formula One fans. Spoiler there. You've had 36 hours to watch the race.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you haven't watched it by now, sorry, not much we can do for you there. But, that apparently is the one Aston Martin that isn't going to take it to the checkered flag this weekend.
Well, let's see if Mike Dam's got anything left to try and force Travis Schwenke into a mistake, because that seems to be what happens around here. It's you can't just outwill your way into a position. You have to force that other driver into a mistake. We know these two guys are some of the best. Mike Dam, the crafty veteran here, to see if he can force Travis into a bad line. And as that happens, maybe even use a bit of the slower traffic ahead as a bit of a pick, because I see he's got Russ Ruddick in the GT4 car, and then that looks like Sterling, I think
that's John Sterling in the black Civic,
I'm not sure.
Scott Brooks in the 49 Hyundai.
Okay. We'll see if there's a bit of some slow traffic, an opportunity for Mike Dam to maybe use them as a pick to get around Schwenke for the lead. So we'll keep our eyes on it. Schwenke doing a good job of getting to the inside of Brooks. Dam gonna do the same.
Yeah, as we just saw there, where Dam really turned in late, brought the car, exited center of track there, kind of the move that Hartley tried to make earlier on in the race, and where May didn't expect May to be there. We've got a few more drivers coming in for their pit stops. Looks like Scott Brooks is now taking his
which means
stop.
One car has not stopped, and it's the first one on your timing tower there longer. In the blue. Oh, he just went in, Nick Horvath.
Yeah, Nick Horvath now pitting in from the lead in TCR. That's going to give the lead back to Eric Violet here.
Talk about
next
splash
time
and go. He needs about 5 minutes of fuel to make it to the end. Probably about, I don't know, about 1 gallon maybe, as there goes your leader now resuming the lead there. But where does Horvath end up relative to Whitworth? There's Whitworth. He is going to take that second spot back. It does Whitworth. Horvath probably will get to third.
Yeah, he should. He's got a pretty good advantage right now on John Sterling, who I think is sitting somewhere along the lines of about 50 seconds back.
Okay. All right, so 5 minutes left at about a minute and a half. I don't know, what are we talking about? 3 laps to the end here as these guys are coming through turn 13, heading around to that carousel towards turn 14. Does Mike Dam have anything left? 3 more chances to get on by and to steal that first win of the season. And by the way, who would have thought that 5 rounds in that Mike Dam wouldn't have a win?
No, incredibly surprising, Larry. Now, you know, the Orion racers, they have for the longest time shown, I think, quite a bit of discipline, and you know, they're not going to, you know, put cars into positions where they could end up taking their own teammates out. And I'm wondering if Mike Dam and Schwenke with, you know, again, 2.5 laps, 3 laps now, whether or not they've done that risk assessment here and given how difficult it is to get around a lap here, you know, whether you're actually going to see these battles. Now, that being said, Mike Dam traveling much closer to the back of the 16 machine than I think we've seen him all race long, that he might be.
Well, he might be looking, because Chuck Labano has faded a little bit, and Labano may be a little bit slower to get through the traffic. That we just saw these two get on by, and these two blistering last lap under 26. They were 25.8 basically for the two of them last time by. So I think now that they're fully clear of Labano, Mike Dam doesn't have to worry about maybe having a Mercedes sneak underneath him with probably 2 laps to go, maybe a third. He doesn't have a lot of chances. He's going to have to try to push somewhere, find that spot to get Travis Schwenke off of his line. 3 minutes. I'm guessing 3 laps because they are right at that 3-minute mark, which puts you just shy of, or just a little more than 2 laps. I think we're going to see a 3rd lap in the sequence now.
Yeah, there we go. As we just a little bit under 3 minutes, yeah, we'll probably see a 3rd lap as if they continue to run just slightly under a minute and a half per lap there.
Schwenke being very precise. This is the section of track you think that if Dam has anything to try and duck in and get Schwenke off of his line and do something odd. There's a little bit of something as they come up around turn 4 into this 5, 6, 7 complex, but Schwenke is still very efficient, not leaving any room.
Yeah.
Dam not getting that time.
Yeah, I was going to say with and again, it still looks like, Dam is out there investigating new lines, new ways around, is still experimenting, whereas Schwenke for the past number of laps, the car just looks dialed in. The 93 machine looks like it's almost always off balance.
Yeah, I wonder part of that is he's really looking for opportunities, trying to go left to right, trying to do something different to Schwenke. As you see him there, it runs a little bit wide as they come off to hit that deep run before hitting his front straight. But he's just maybe not trying to be dead on a perfect line. He's just trying to do something different and see if he gets Schwenke to nudge. So far, Travis isn't biting. They each carry a different line here. Mike has this sort of apex there in the middle of 2 that Travis doesn't quite have, but they go down the hill about the same. This is the closest down the hill we've seen. Can he duck to the inside and force something? Nope.
And we'll see if he can tuck underneath. And this has been one of the major differences through that turn 3 section where Dam turns in a little bit later, then seemingly tries to bring the car to driver's left up the hill, just never has enough pace, I think, to even get up to the quarter panel as they come up the hill towards 4. And now as we see them coming through those through the S's and now over towards the hairpin at 10.
He's only got about a lap and a quarter left, not a lot of opportunities, but he's looking for any sort of opportunity on a corner exit to get a run on Travis. Travis leaving nothing to opportunity right now. They should get white flag next time by.
So we've got 15 seconds on the clock as they come out onto the front straight, and they should be getting the white flag here with a couple of seconds to spare. And there you go, Barney's got the flag in the air. And we are on the last lap from Rudskogen Motor Center here in Norway for round number 5 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series.
There's the move. Does he have enough momentum to stay there? Does he have a draft, a little momentum, a little something to be on the inside as they go into 3? He is as close as he's been in the last 10 minutes since they did their pit stops. Can he force Schwenke into a bad line going into the corner and get a better run up the hill? No, Schwenke defending very well, but can he hold it through into 5 and 6? They might be side by side.
No, and once again, Dam can't carry enough speed up the hill. It was interesting there, Larry, as Dam had pushed Schwenke out just a little bit, coming through that big sweeper at turn 2, and they started to head down the hill, and then Dam switched back to the other side and pretty much gave up the advantage that he had. You saw a big wiggle there from Mike Dam as they now come through the hairpin over at turn 10. And the rear end of that number 93 machine is starting to loosen up just a little bit here as we've got just a few more corners to go. Mike Dam stepping wide once again.
His rear tires are hot.
Yeah.
One last corner. And after that, he can get all the cooling he wants.
That's right. Here he goes. They come out of the big bowl at turn 14 onto the front straight, and Travis Schwenke put another one down for the number 16 machine. Travis Schwenke wins race number 4. That is what now? Win number 4 of 5 here this season?
4 in a row.
Yeah, there you go. 4 in a row for Travis Schwenke. Mike Dam will finish in second. Chuck Labano crosses the stripe. Great run for him. Yeah. Amazing race for Mr. Labano. He comes home 3rd overall, takes the win in GT4. Am Brendan Horn, he's going to finish 4th overall, 2nd in Am. And David Payton takes the last step on the podium in Pro, finishing 5th. As we're watching here, Eric Violette, who is our leader in TCR, he comes onto the front straight, flash in the headlights. He takes another win here as the D2D team. I think at this point, Larry, they have, between Whitworth and Violette, they have taken every win this season. This should be win number 4 for Eric Violette. Brendan Whitworth comes home 2nd in TCR. And there you go. Nick Horvath crosses the stripe. He will come home in 3rd in his Civic. But great win for Travis Schwenke here at Rudskogen. So, Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here, where you've just seen round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. We'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Rudskogen Motor Center in Rokstad, Norway. I'm Greg Ginsberg along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and you've just seen round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. And Larry, let's do this. I think we've got some of our podium finishers lined up waiting in the green room for us. Let's first talk to Brendan Whitworth. He finished 2nd tonight in TCR, driving the number 42 D2D eRacing Honda Civic Type R.
All right, so Brandon Whitworth has joined us here. So Brandon, it's another 1-2 in TCR for the D2D boys, but tonight in 2nd. So tell me a little bit about the race and what you were doing out there.
I was trying to go fast.
Well, yeah,
and I wasn't doing it.
It's a crazy place. This just kind of, it's like a roller coaster, up and down, up and down. It takes a bit getting used to.
Yeah, this track demands a lot of patience. There's especially a couple of corners where they're so slow. When you see another car in front of you making the corner, it looks like they're coming back on the track, but they never left it. They're really tight, slow corners.
A whole track full of pit exits. It's pretty impressive. But,
right.
Yes, but it's a crazy place. I wasn't sure how well it would race, and then I started realizing like how difficult it was to hold someone behind you, because once you go offline, your lap times just plummet. It's just not the kind of place where you can defend efficiently, it seems.
Yeah, no. If you're offline here, it's bad. Like you said, you're gonna lose a lot of time.
Yeah. So maybe tonight was a night to just kind of salvage some points. Another Another second place here for you. Not such a bad result because I see folks like Horvath and them are keeping up pace. They're definitely some good competition for you guys this season. But another 1-2 for you and that other guy.
Yeah, that other guy.
Anybody you want to thank for tonight, Brandon?
Yeah, of course, got to throw a shout out to Proformer Elite Texas Graphics, Ricmotech, helping sponsor the team, run the league, and guys putting on the league, and of course, family for letting me do this, and in particular Eric, but all the teammates for supporting one another. It helps a lot.
Awesome stuff. Well, congrats! Another strong podium finish here, second place, Brandon Whitworth.
Thanks.
All right, thanks so much to Brandon Whitworth. And Larry, for a moment there, I almost heard Brandon, doing a Rain Man impression. Like, it was very bad, very, very bad. Rudskogen. But all right, let's talk to Brandon's teammate. That's Eric Violet, driver of the number 89 D2D eRacing Honda Civic Type R, taking the win tonight in TCR.
Eric, crazy place to run a race, but we did it anyway, and you managed to come home victorious. Tell me a little bit about your experience here at Rudskogen.
Well, first I had to buy the track last week, so this isn't a track we normally run. I don't think it's on the officials and things like that. So I had heard about it, and then once I experienced it, I was like, wow, well, this is it's like a go-kart track. I mean, there's one little straight to take a breather, but I mean, I'm dying of thirst because I couldn't get any a drink during the race at all.
Yeah, absolutely nutty kind of place. And it seemed, as we were just talking with Brandon, that you get offline a little bit and your lap times just fall so quickly, which means if you're going to try and hold a lead, you better just hope you pull away and don't see any pressure, which you managed to do pretty well tonight as you separated yourself and just kind of had your own deal going and just watched for anybody else coming by. Yeah,
I think Brandon just struggled a little bit during the race. I mean, we were pretty close on pace. I mean, maybe a tenth or here or there. But I noticed I didn't put out a track guide this week. But one of the things I always talk about is the consistency. Like, don't touch setup until you get, if you can run with like a tenth or two every single, like a full fuel run, a tenth or two off. That's it. I was like a half a tenth, or not half a tenth, a half a second, and then I'd have a good lap, and then another like 0.7 off. I'm like, man, this track is so hard to be. It's so hard to hit your marks here.
Yeah, it's just one of those places. So, a new track, everybody's sort of fresh with it, but you managed to adapt pretty well and come away with another victory for you and the D2D team. So, congrats on all that. But I got to ask, who do you want to thank for helping you get here?
Yeah, Proformer Elite Texas Graphics for sponsoring us. Chris is really great. Teammates are awesome. Extreme Motorsports for hosting us. Ricmotech as far as our primary sponsor is really nice. And then of course Apex Racing TV for putting the broadcast on. One thing I heard that next season we might be able to almost triple our field size in TCR. So cross your fingers and we'll hopefully get a really good field out here next.
That would be awesome. We'll get that word out. And always looking for growth here across the entire plethora of Ricmotech series, but certainly within the TCR class. It's growing. The numbers are coming. Some fast drivers are there, and it's great to watch the battles develop. But you managed to hold on to another victory here tonight for you, Eric. And so congrats on that. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. And thanks to my wife and hopefully Alex Brown. I'm not sure if he's watching or not. He couldn't make it. Don't know if he's going to be here for the rest of the season, but hopefully starts feeling better. Miss him. Great competitor. So I hope he does better. Nice to see him out on track again sometime. So thank you guys.
Hey, Eric, real quick before you go, since the next person we're going to bring in is Brendan Horn. Is he still on the team?
What happened? Did he bang into somebody?
Yeah, he banged into you 2 weeks ago.
Oh. Yeah, no, we're all good.
Darn. Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. There you go. It's Eric Violet taking the win tonight in TCR. And so now...
talk to him?
Yeah, I was going to say now that we've got that controversy out of the way, let's bring in Brendan Horn, also from D2D eRacing, finishing second tonight in GT4 AM.
Brendan, it's confirmed. Actually, we just asked Eric, "Are you still on the team?" He said, "Yes, you are still on the team, despite what may have happened at Bangkok a couple weeks ago." But tonight, a crazy race at the front of the field, running right there with the group. Both yourself and Chuck running right with the Orion guys tonight. What is it about this track? Is it just that it's new and some folks got it, some folks took a little longer?
I don't know. It flows really good, I think. I did a lot of practice on this. I definitely like tracks like this more than, bigger, maybe like grade 1 circuits, I think. I like these club level circuits a little bit better. I did a lot of practice. But yeah, I was happy with my pace at the beginning there, and then obviously I stalled it coming on my pit box after the pits, and after that I was just kind of on conservation mode, just trying to bring it home in one piece.
Yeah, your pace was spectacular running right with these guys. We actually had the camera on you as you were coming out of your pit box. Like, well, that was a bit odd because you started to move about the same time as Travis that you would come in with, and all of a sudden it's like, well, there goes Travis. Brendan's not quite there, but just still, you managed to get going again and bringing home a second place here in the AM category. Tough race tonight. You came in on a streak of a couple of wins, but Chuck decided it was his race. Sounds like you got a bit of a competitor here on your hands now.
Yeah, he definitely had really good pace. I don't think I've been wheel to wheel with him yet, but I'm sure I will be in the future at some point, so we'll see what that brings. But yeah, he's definitely got some really good pace.
Yeah, tonight you spend all your wheel-to-wheel time with Travis, I think, for about a lap or so, I think, earlier tonight. That was a lot of fun to watch. But great job tonight in second spot. Anybody you want to thank for the podium finish?
Yeah, big thanks to D2D, eRacing, Bobby, Chris, David for all their help in practice, and Eric with the help in multi-class practice. Pro Formula Elite Texas Graphics, BCR Designs, Extreme, and Ricmotech for putting on this series. You guys for the great broadcast, and my family for supporting me.
Well, awesome stuff, Brennan. So congrats, second place tonight in AM, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks. See you.
All right, there you go. Brendan Horn finishing second tonight in AM. And Larry, that means it's time to bring in our winner with his second win in a row in GT4 AM. It's Chuck Labano from Labano Racing.
So Chuck, 2 races in a row. We're at essentially a new track, and 2 in a row. You've got wins. Are you trying to find the next newest track, maybe a Jerez or whatever the new one is for next round?
I don't know, but I'm going to say today, this is my new track, my new favorite. I learned a couple things off of Mike Dam there in the last bit of practice that really helped with some corner lines. And then, of course, when the green went and he kind of let me go, I thought I might have jumped the start something. So I was a little confused for half of the race going, well, what am I doing in the front?
Well, what you were doing was you're just outpacing everybody. You just had pace. You were out there clicking 26.0s like it was nothing while the rest of the field was just struggling. Did you just put a ton of time in and just get comfortable here?
Yeah, to be fair, I practiced my ass off this week. Again, another new track I didn't know anything about. And I thought, well, let's see what happens. And then the last practice we had, it looked like I was keeping good pace with the guys that showed up. So I felt pretty good coming in today. And it looks like it worked out pretty good, too.
Yeah, for sure. Practice definitely pays off. Let anybody who's watching and listening along, a new track comes out, go learn it. It definitely pays off, as it sometimes brings you victories. And for tonight, is two wins in a row. You had Magna Core a couple weeks ago, and now here at Rudskogen, 2 wins in 2 rounds. It's got you on a pretty good streak. Congrats for that. I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you get here.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't think I'd be at the front, so I didn't do my research. We'll thank Ricmotech again, my son, Royal Smitty, who's actually in iRacing now, and, of course, my wife, who adoringly loved all the swearing tonight.
Well, awesome stuff. And I love these interviews. It's my favorite part. Congrats again on this victory. Unbelievable run tonight, and I can't wait to see how far you can go. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Awesome, man. See you next week, or a couple weeks.
All right, there you go. Chuck Labano with his second win in a row for Labano Racing here tonight at Rudskogen. And so, Larry, let's now bring in our second place finisher overall driver of the number 93 BMW M4 GT4 for Orion Racing. It's Mike Dam.
Well, Mike, it's another week of the Sportscar Series and another second place, this time to Travis again. But it looked like for those last 5 laps or so that you were going to try and stick a nose in somewhere. Did you just decide maybe teammates 1-2 is a good way to finish and not to risk it?
Oh, I was absolutely looking for a way to get by. Didn't quite find it. I think I almost got it done there, but pretty difficult track to pass on, actually. So
Yeah, we had seen tonight a lot of folks that the passes that were happening were kind of mistake-induced, especially early, as maybe some of the newness of the track hadn't quite worn off. Some folks still learning the thing. Did you have a chance to get a lot of practice in ahead of time, or did you pick it up as the race went on?
I was able to get 30 or so laps in, and I have raced the track before. Just it's definitely not super familiar. So definitely the passing zones were a little difficult to find, and yeah, I just had a poor start to the race and tried to make it up with fuel strategy, but actually ended up turning my fuel off in the pits and I had to turn it back on. So so I wasted a little time there. I think I could have come out in first and had a better run there.
Yeah, a crazy race of ups and downs. It looked like at one point maybe even a slowdown penalty. Lots of passing going on between you and Brennan Horn. So really, it was a lot of fun to watch tonight. But in the end, it's another solid second place finish for you, and that's nothing to be disappointed with for sure. Especially when Travis, the run that he's on, you guys are just dominant right now. But I got to ask, anybody you want to thank for tonight?
Yeah, just all the guys in the league, the guys who put it together, Kevin and Jeff, Frank at Ricmotech sponsoring it every year, and thanks to you guys for broadcasting.
Awesome stuff, Mike Dam. Another second place finish here at Rudskogen.
Awesome, thanks guys.
All right, there we go. That is Mike Dam. And Larry, I think Mike must have drawn the short straw this weekend. This week. We usually get either Mike or Travis, but never both. And tonight it was Mike. So thanks so much for joining us, Mike Dam, and congratulations on the win tonight, Travis Schwenke. And so let's do this, Larry. Let's wrap things up here tonight from Rudskogen and take a look ahead at what we've got coming up here. And we'll start off with, strangely enough, next week, where we are going to be heading to the National Park of Speed to Road America for the Ricmotech World Challenge. Those are GT3 and GTP racers, and it's going to be one of our 90-minute outings in the World Challenge of the season. I think our second 90-minute outing of the season. And don't go anywhere, and I mean literally don't go anywhere, because in 2 weeks the Sportscar Series will also be at Road America. Yes, for one of our 75-minute outings. It's going to be round 6 of 8, and again, GT4 and TCR, just as you saw tonight. And then May 1st, May Day, it is a brand new season of the newly renamed Ricmotech Club Sport Series, now with the Mazda MX-5s as well as the GR86 Cup cars. Can't tell you where, but I can tell you when, and you don't want to miss it. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, and for John Robertson, I'm Greg Ginsburg. We'll see you next Monday night at Road America. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, You owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.